All right, I think we are live. I'm just going to check the feed real quick, but I think we are live. All right, guys. Good to see you. Quick introductions. I know not everyone knows you guys, but quick introductions. This is to my left here, starting with Larry Pankey. Larry was president of the Gridiron Club for many years and have been a huge part of Dunwoody athletics for a long time on the football side and lacrosse and a lot of other stuff that Larry has done for the program. Next to him is Doug Pearch. Doug is current president, I think, of the Gridiron Club and has been that for a couple of years. His son, Matt, was our quarterback for a couple of years and now off in college at Yale playing baseball.
Yep,
so,
exactly. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to be here. And finally, Jim Fox. Jim's got the short chair, unfortunately. I don't know why we did that to you, but Jim, I would say, is probably the father of Dunwoody Lacrosse and has been instrumental in getting the lacrosse program off the ground with the help of Coach Nash and has been part of the program for a long time. So really appreciate you guys being here. And, it's a somber occasion, but I was hoping to do this. We typically do this coach's show on Tuesday nights where I have Coach in. We talk about the previous game and the upcoming game, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to get some guys that knew Coach Nash and kind of share some stories and then just go from there. So I want to thank Morty's Barbecue and the Barn for having us. They've been gracious hosts to always allow us to get set up here and do this thing. So really appreciate Morty's doing that for us. So I want to start, I guess, Larry, you established a GoFundMe for Coach Nash, and the link to that is in the show notes of this broadcast. So folks that are watching it, please click that link, and if you can donate to the Nash family and to kind of cover some of the costs of the healthcare and funeral costs and all that sort of stuff. So that's a great thing you did, Larry.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Larry, you had I had the chance to read your Facebook post today, that a little bit of a tribute that you had to Coach Nash. So maybe you starting there, like how did you meet Nash? Like I love this story.
There was a casino night where I'd met the first incoming head coach. There's an administration who hires the head coach.
Yeah.
They don't ask us in the Gridiron Club what we think. They just go ahead and here's your coach. And I'd met the guy, real nice guy. He had a lot of dreams, young guy, a lot of energy, and I'm like, it's great, man. We're going places, and all of a sudden, he's not coming. I mean, he's not coming. Well, he kind of played us off at the old job and got a raise. And it was just like a shot to the gut. Like, oh, my God, how did what happened? And along comes Mike Nash. This is our new coach. I'm like, who's this? What's going on? And so he wasn't our first choice, and I know it. And if you know Mike at all, it bothered him. You're like, wait a minute. The best part of that story, I thought, was because, I was going to see all those fancy people down in Dunwoody, and I went out and bought my first ever suit, and I thought I was looking good, and I played the part, and I didn't get the job. And then they called me back in a second time, and I had to put on that damn suit again.
So was he coming from that town? He was at Shiloh? Right.
I think he was at Shiloh, but certainly in Gwinnett County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had kids playing football at the time, or they were?
So my oldest, Zachary, we had played Colts our whole lives. Yeah. Zachary had stopped playing. And so it was Luke who was coming up from middle school that spring of 2015. So we were bringing the kids over, and they're kind of participating, but they weren't really ever going to play as middle schoolers. So it was just Luke, this 100-pound little scrawny freshman. Oh, yeah, that's my son. You look at him like, well, what's he going to do for the team, right? He's going to get hurt.
Right.
But, we didn't have a kid in the program, and Nash recruited everybody.
So I think you said we had 16 players playing Dunwoody football.
The program was in shambles. We were down, if you can imagine, trying to field a team with 16 players. And we got other board members. We got the coach here. You asked them about the impossibility of that and to survive. Yes, we were down to 16 players.
What classification were we playing then? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but it was a hard one.
It was surprising because Dunwoody had state championships back in the early 80s.
Way back when.
So I'm not sure what happened between then
and why kids dropped off.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, it's a hard game if you don't have, these board guys to give us that infrastructure support. Things go wrong terribly. It's kill or be killed. And if you don't have the support structure in place, you will get run over quickly.
And so now we're at 120 players, something like that. So all of that was really built off the back of Nash.
Coach Nash, for many of his great things, he got the numbers up, but he was able to go out into the community and raise funds, not just for the football program, but for lacrosse.
Absolutely.
If he were a salesperson running a business, we would have seen that same effectiveness. And I've told him that. I said, you are my most valuable player because you can sell. You could sell anything. He could connect with people. And, anybody who's listening to this broadcast, he would go to city council. He would go to the county. He would go to the school system. And he would get in people's living rooms and ask for money.
Yeah. He had no fear about going someplace to talk to money, whether it was, any of the businesses here or former alumni. He was a bulldog when it came to trying to go out and raise funds for the program. And that's hard to do. I mean, all of us have gone out and tried to raise funds. It's not easy to go out there and constantly be asking for money for the program.
And what are you selling?
Yeah.
But a losing program that hadn't won a game all year long. Why would I want to give money and time to the program?
And so what was your Gridiron budget?
It was below $20,000.
Wow.
We spend $20,000 a month today.
It's 10 times that now.
Yeah. That's hard to even field a team if you were just playing peewee ball. I mean, that's really tough.
Atlanta Colts were given more money than that.
Yeah.
And it's they're 10-year-old kids.
So then he kind of started slowly building the program, and not necessarily a lot, and I think you touched on it, not necessarily a lot of on the field wins, because it was just hard. It was hard sledding, and we always seem to play in some of the toughest divisions, and certainly play a lot of the private schools that seem to recruit and get players whenever they want them. And then you touched on the Game On campaign, and obviously this touches across Dunwoody athletics, not just football, but all the other programs that we have. Touch on that a little bit. Like, how did that get started?
The Gridiron Club president, when I came aboard, consisted of the president, and that was it. It was Mark Pastroni. He was the single guy helping out Coach Nash all by himself, cutting the grass, lining the field, cleaning out lockers, just working his butt to death. And you know what? We all need to recognize him for the saint he was, and helping him out.
Yeah.
Coach Nash came along into this system and said, all right, what can we do? And he had a vision that he had learned from his family, John and Barbara Nash. At Shiloh, they had taken that nothing program and built the stadium, the field, and created that apparatus. So he would have known that. He saw that process. And when we sat down with Pastroni that first Friday night and having dinner, he told us his vision. And I'm like, once again, skeptical. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You're going to turn this dirt rock field into a turf field with bleachers and get rid of all this dirt and mess and weeds? Come on.
Yeah.
But he saw it.
With, not to knock on DeKalb County, but probably not with a huge amount of support from the county to get all of that activity done.
People have different opinions at DeKalb County. I appreciate them for what they're doing. We are public school kids. We're doing the best we can with what we have.
Yeah.
But what's expendable? Athletics are expendable because they're trying to. Johnny needs to read and write correctly.
Right.
And they've got different goals. And so for us, it's up to the community. It's up to the Coach Nashes and his board and, Doug busting his butt to keep the fundraising apparatus going. That's what it takes. And Nash had a system in place not to improve the fields. But the mantra I've always liked, Bobby Bowden, championships aren't won in December. They're won in January. You're like, what do you mean? It means you start working in January.
Yep.
And so he brought that ethic to making a weight room from nothing. There was no weight room. He made it. He went out and got it. We painted it. I could tell you the names of the guys who were there painting it with us and wiring it up for speakers and making it what it is today.
Wow.
Back in the early days of parents coming out of pocket to buy Chick-fil-A and shakes for those morning breakfasts so those boys would have something to eat and get them stronger. And it took forever.
Yeah.
And, it's that old saying is that, that old man will not see the benefits of that tree and the shade it makes. But you know what? We knew what we were working for, and we finally made the playoffs.
Yeah.
It took a while.
It took a while. And I think one of the contributing factors to it, and I would say, is the work he put in to build the Junior Wildcats. A lot of the players that are successful today, and certainly over the past couple of years, have started in that Junior Wildcats program, which didn't exist. And and part of that is all built on having that field that's always like you said, it's not rock strewn and everything else. We have a field. Lacrosse now has the ability to practice all the time. And Jim, I want to get your thoughts too on this. Like, how important is it to have that field, the ability to take advantage of the lights that we didn't have before, all of that stuff that goes on there? How important is that for lacrosse?
I mean, it's important for everything, right? Like with the Junior Wildcats on the lacrosse side, we started it 12 years ago, right? And we were at Brook Run in the back fields, which are the 2 turf fields now, which it was rocks and stones. And that's where the Junior Wildcats. There was Neil Ringers, Kevin Moran, and I, and we started Junior Wildcats. And we were practicing there with 1 broken goal. And we were the best ground ball team, obviously, because you're just playing in dirt. But to start on that, and that's, to everything, why we're here and what we're celebrating and everything you said and Larry said already, what Nash and Coach Nash worked towards and everybody else in the community to get that field, that's where it started for us in lacrosse. And we were just grinding it out year after year. And then we worked our way up, and that's when we got into the high school programming that was established. We had about 2 years of the Junior Wildcats already going and the culture built. And as that came into the high school, we just kept going, and that's what Coach Nash liked.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, we're gonna piggyback the model. He goes, how did you guys do this? I'm like, well, there's no middle school lacrosse program at Peachtree or within our public system.
Yep.
So we were a little bit different in that aspect. But he's like, but look what you got. We were getting 12 and 14 kids a year coming out 6th, 7th, even 8th graders coming out playing for the first time. Well, we knew longevity by sophomore, junior year, the culture's there. They like it. You're going to have a solid team to compete.
Yep. Yeah.
And again, it wasn't about the wins and losses. That'll come. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
We've all been involved in the coaching of that. It was about building that culture. And for those kids to see what Coach Nash, the community, the Gridiron Club, the 6th Club on the lacrosse side, what we all backed with the parents and everybody back in the day, to get that field, knowing that we could go out in the fall after football's done, and these kids that weren't playing fall sports, the lacrosse players, non-traditional season, they could go out under the lights because Coach Nash would say, I'll come over, I'll turn the lights on, before technology where he could turn them on from the phone.
Yeah.
And they were out there practicing.
Yep.
And stuff. So it was huge for the Junior Wildcats, just like on the football side. Junior Wildcats I use universally for football and lacrosse.
Yeah.
To have those evenings. And then for the younger kids, once we got the lacrosse kids off of Brook Run, per se, and at the high school, that's what they look up to, right? And that doesn't
absolutely.
change. It's timeless.
Yeah, yeah.
Those middle school kids, look at what the high school is. And to have that feel, it was more of a mental and culture than it was just a physical aspect, and it just helped everything grow.
And I think there's a dual benefit here, too, because someone pointed out, I think, during the last game, I think all 5 of our offensive linemen play lacrosse, right? So many of the football players take to lacrosse. It definitely works in their favor to be playing both sports, and I think Nash saw that and saw the benefits of that.
He saw it early on, even before he joined our program. He saw it with Larry's 2 boys, Jake Oliver.
Yeah.
We had a couple guys in that class where even Eric Oliver saw it too, and some of the other guys, or the football guys, saw the value and what it did, not only in conditioning, but the footwork and the vision and the speed of the game. And that was in 2016. We ended up having about 5 or 7 football guys starting to play lacrosse.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were upperclassmen.
Yeah.
Never
yeah.
picked up a
yeah,
step in their
yeah,
life.
yeah.
They were upperclassmen.
Yep.
You
and they
can't
were like,
do that, Jake Oliver.
and that was just the start of it. And he started seeing that. And then the growth of it was when Larry and I were approaching him for Coach Nash to take over. And then he's like, I'm not ready yet. And then we got Coach Thornton. Nate Thornton took over.
Yep.
Did a great job.
And did a phenomenal job building the foundation. And
Yeah.
Coach Nash was always around us, and with Coach Thornton being on the football side too. And Coach Nash started seeing, oh, Coach Thornton's bringing these 2-sport athletes back. My football guys are coming back, and look at. And then when Coach Nate, his path took him somewhere else, Coach Nash was like, all right, Larry, Jim, I'm in. And from that point on, we started bringing the football guys over.
Yeah.
He knew nothing about lacrosse.
And he knew
Well, I was
nothing.
going to ask because he was the coach of lacrosse, right? But he
Yes.
didn't know. He didn't.
He-
He didn't know.
He studied it. He studied
Yeah.
the game.
He learned it.
He became a student of the game. We go back and, obviously in these times, you find the silver linings, and the fun times, the memories. And Larry and I were talking. We remember his first year. And I talked to, my 2 boys who were senior and freshman that year when Coach Nash took over and stuff. And it's so funny that you know, a coach is a coach,
Yeah.
right? We
Oh,
all
yeah.
know that.
Yep.
And we were excited when Coach Nash took over, and he would be honest in how he knew how to mold those young athletes, no matter what sport. They knew he wasn't a lacrosse guy. They knew he never played it. It was only down here for about 15 years in
Yeah.
the South.
Yep.
But what he got them to own up, buy in, and understand, nobody else can really do that. There's very few coaches that can do that.
It's coaching.
It's coaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he studied, and because I can go back and he would talk to us, and he learned the first few months, but then he started, because of YouTube and everything else, he'd reach out. He's like, hey, can you get me name some of the college coaches? And we connect him to some of the coaches, and he's watching videos, and then he's starting to understand the offense, the defense, and would go to different college games that were local with us and watch. And he was just in. It was like Larry said, he was rejuvenated. This was a sport, a true coach, something new. It was a new challenge, but he was so passionate about it.
Yeah. It was another way for him to connect with the players too.
Correct.
He really did. The thing, the term family is used a lot of different ways, but he lived that family mentality, and it was such a huge piece of so many of these things. I'm curious though on that. When you think about him as sort of a leader and sort of a mentor, is there anything in particular that stands out to you that's like, that I just remember this time that he was, because I do remember the Pensacola trips, and he was always a big part of that, and just loved being part of the team. And I'm just curious if there's anything that stands out to you.
I think just the times that I've been around with lacrosse side and being in the school as a teacher and that, I would say what was unique about Coach Nash was just his connection. Whether you want to call it leadership, mentor, all those players knew. And I don't even think it even had to be the football or lacrosse guys. As a teacher too,
Yep.
Those kids knew they could go and talk to him. He established a relationship with these young adults.
Yep.
That whether they had it at home or not, or they just needed more, he knew how to get through to them to understand real life. And leadership, mentorship to me, it was just impressive. Like, oh, I saw so-and-so today in the halls. They were talking to me about this. If it was one of the lacrosse guys, and we discussed it with the coaches and stuff. That was him.
Yeah, 100%.
It was more of a father figure
He was.
than it was anything.
I think he was younger than me, but he was a father figure in some of the teachings that he had. Just like he's absolutely right about so many things. And as a father, he really helped me sort of connect with my own kids. Where he would kind of we talked about a lot of stuff, and my kids will probably watching tonight, and they'll be like, now they probably heard things come out of my mouth that they heard Nash say, and I took it directly from Nash. Just hard to. The other thing too is you touched on it a second ago, but his community outreach, all the stuff that he did around the community that people don't know. They don't know what he did behind the scenes in so many of these relationships that unless you're part of the Gridiron Club or part of one of the groups that run these programs, you would not know all the work that he did behind the scenes to make things operate.
Well, it's like Larry said. I mean, I hate the term salesman, but he was just such a great ambassador of the program. We take him to Chamber of Commerce meetings. Any sponsor or partner we couldn't get. Yeah. You send him the closer. Mike would go in and find common ground, and just his energy in that regard about the kids, about DHS it was infectious. So he was a fantastic guy.
And Doug, you kind of, when he was sort of retiring, I would say, I know he went on to a different job, but I'd say he's just kind of leaving Dunwoody. It's a very emotional time for a lot of folks. You're president of the Gridiron Club, and he was instrumental in bringing in Coach Schmitz and making it I would say like a seamless transition to a really a new group. And he brought all these coaches in with him. So,
sure.
He was setting the stage for what was coming next. Talk a little bit about what was that like going through with Coach at the time?
Well, I mean, this coaching staff was so galvanized behind Coach Nash that when Coach Nash made it apparent that he wanted Matt to take over,
yep,
they were just all in tow. I mean, there was no doubt the players were, united behind that. So, we screened a lot of great applicants, but from the start, it seemed pretty obvious that Coach Nash was right again. And Coach Schmitz has brought a whole new level to the program, as you've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Coach Nash did bring in a lot of younger coaches, and he lost coaches along the way, as they all do. But yeah, he really mentored some guys to come along and take the next step. And I think even Coach Schmitz has said, he's like, he goes, I'm a certain football coach. I couldn't have done what Nash did. I couldn't have come in with 15 players and start, because that's a lot of work and the steps required to do that. So, again, hats off to Coach Nash. Larry, any other tidbits from, like I said, your LinkedIn post? If you haven't had a chance to read Larry's LinkedIn post and tribute to Coach Nash, it really is poignant and really touching.
We work together, and like anything, you work with somebody long enough, you become friends or maybe become enemies. And he was my buddy. We had a lot of fun. I think I pointed out I got to go a number of the Finance Academy trips, and I was somehow designated as roommate because maybe everyone else knew the consequences. And, as my wife described, well, you said it was like trying to sleep with a hibernating bear. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it was, because there was a lot of growling and rolling around and like, what's going on? I didn't sleep much that first night in New York City, and it wasn't because of the gunshots or the street work. But what I want to say about my buddy Coach Nash is, we can talk about all the changes he made to the program and all those great things, and we could talk on and on, all those stories. It's the humanity of the man, and it's lost in the shuffle. People don't know that we had players that lived with Mike Nash.
Yep.
They had nowhere else to go.
Yep.
Whatever their family situation had deteriorated, people had gone to prison. There's nobody left, and it was Mike Nash and his family, Tracy. And they would pick up players and give them a place to live and help try and stabilize their lives and give them food and just do the best they can. And you don't hear about stuff like that enough. And my buddy Tom O'Brien wrote about his son Nolan and his daughter, that Nash found a place for them on the team.
Yeah.
And, Nolan's a great kid. And as even Nash said, I wish I don't have a son, but if I did, I'd want him to be like Nolan. Nolan was on the team and belonged. And to have that feeling, that's what Mike Nash was about. He found a place for the team. Kelly Gibson wrote today. Nash had daughters. One of them was a cheerleader, Gracie.
Yep.
And he found a place for those cheerleaders, and they were respected just like any player. They were just as important, and he made everyone welcome, and you can't replace a Coach Nash.
If you ever had a chance to go to his house, you'd walk in, the front room would be taken up with all the gear all the player packs. There was all that stuff was sitting in there.
You'd think he was moving or something.
You would, and there were you would. He's come in. He's like, "Oh, what size you need?" And he tried to figure out what's going on. And then there'd always be players over there. They'd be eating. They'd be hanging out. There'd be he was always that's how he was. He was just always, the door was always open with Coach Nash.
He was immersed in the football culture.
Yeah, and no one was ever a stranger. And that's the thing that he brought. And if there was ever a need, I'll use the example. So I was on the baseball board at the time, and we had made the playoffs. And I said, "Man, Coach Nash," I said, "I'd love to host, Fill the Hill." We used to do that a lot on the baseball side. I'm like, I really want to do that this year. And he's like, "Man, let me go get my grill." And he went to his house. He had that Gator. And he loaded up his grill and he set it up on the hill and started cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, and he was just giving them out, and just he was in his element. I looked at him like, man, this guy's in his element. This is all the kids were around, great beautiful night at Dunwoody and playing baseball, and that was Mike Nash. That's exactly what he did every single time. You mentioned too on your thing, Grand Marshal the Dunwoody 4th of July parade. Even after he had moved on from Dunwoody, that's how important he was.
It's only common sense. Your head coach leaves you in the football team. To heck with that guy.
Yeah.
He broke my heart. I forget about him. He's done. He's dead to me.
Yeah.
Not Mike Nash. These guys, I saw some of them over there, sitting down having dinner.
Yep.
They made him Grand Marshal.
Yep.
He's gone. He's leaving us. And what did he do wrong other than he went to be with his daughter and Kedrick at a new gig with his granddaughter.
Yeah.
And that's, that's what any grandfather should do, is be close with his family, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
He still loved Dunwoody, but he loved his family just as much, if not more, obviously more.
100%. Yeah, and he would call me, we'd be in the middle of doing a broadcast, and he would be watching our games, after his game was over, he'd be out there watching our games because he was so interested in the players and the people and the families.
Come
and
on,
everything.
Schmitz, don't call that play.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
And he actually called me during the Wesleyan game. We had that scrimmage at Dunwoody, and I said, and he couldn't be there, and he said, well, what's it like? And I said, well, it's packed, as you can imagine. It's Wesleyan and Dunwoody, and the place is full. And I said, this is what you wanted, and I said, I wish you were here, So he was always here in spirit, and yeah, tough loss for Dunwoody, and it'll be a while before his full legacy is seen. I think you mentioned it, Larry, in your post too, that it'll be generations. What he did for the program will be generations and paying it off. That's positive.
Our kids, our sons and daughters, if you learn by example and you see what Coach Nash did for us, at some point they're going to well, of course you volunteer. Well, of course, I'll coach my kids. Of course I'll be a volunteer on that board and help raise money and lead this program, because that's what good people do. Because I knew a good person once. His name was Mike Nash.
Yep, 100%.
But I think, too, one of the big things is, as we all know, the legacies, right? They live on. The classic line, you don't know what you had until they left, right? Mm-hmm. But the years I was around and we're all around, I would say every day he left his legacy with the students, his fellow coaches, the programs. Every day that legacy was being built more and more. It wasn't wait till the end and see what you had. We knew what we had. And that's what's going to be missed the most every day.
Yeah.
Whether he was here or not. Even like Larry said, and you were saying he called me twice in the spring when he left already. We were at games. He knew our schedule, lacrosse, and he called. And I texted him, like, we're in the middle of the game. I know. I want to see how it's going.
Yeah. Yep.
100%.
So, he was always there.
He was always there.
Yeah, he was always there.
And you'll never forget that.
Couldn't get it out of his blood. And he really loved the program, loved the kids, and he'll be sorely missed. So, any parting thoughts from you guys? We're going to get the coaches in here in just one second to talk a little bit about the upcoming game and their thoughts on. We got 3 coaches that work with Coach Nash pretty closely, so they'll be in here in just one second. Any closing thoughts on?
I'll remind myself what I always told Coach Nash when we go to these Game On campaigns and these fundraising things. Coach, don't forget to ask for the money. And I tell that to my young lawyers. You got up there, you made the best speech in the world, but don't you dare forget to ask for the money. We are raising money for the Nash family on that GoFundMe campaign.
Yep.
If you're unaware of it, well, I don't know. Maybe you just don't have social media. Maybe you're blind and you can't hear. But we're doing it. The proceeds go straight to the Nash family, and I hope everyone has a chance to contribute. And the beauty of it is I have seen kids who I know who are in high school contributing.
Yep.
Kids who I know are
in college
who don't have a job.
They don't. Yeah. They don't. Yep.
And
exactly.
My buddy Chuck Seats reminded me, he's like, you know what? It's the participation.
Yeah.
It's that, hey, I'm not going to have that Starbucks coffee today, and I'm going to send Coach Nash that $5. God love you. That's what we want. We want people to just show your love. Get a chance to show your love for Coach Nash.
Yeah, that GoFundMe has been shared across the board on all social media, so you shouldn't have a problem with finding it. Again, it is linked in the show notes of this broadcast as well. So please, out of the goodness of your heart, if you can contribute to that, that would be great. I mean, and again, Coach Nash brought so much to the program, to the community, and it's only right to do that for both he and his family. A lot of personal memories with Coach Nash. So, Doug, any closing thoughts?
No, I just think you see his legacy now. You see it, of course, with the Junior Wildcats. You see it with Matt and his staff. We've got a stadium on the horizon, and none of that would have been possible without Mike. So
yeah. The lights, the stadium, the future.
This community should be forever in debt.
Yep.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Bob Fossella said something in jest 8 years ago. We had worked on the field and Saturday morning, and welcome to Mike Nash Field. And he wasn't joking, and I'm not joking either. I don't care what you call that complex, but that will always be Nash Field to me.
Yeah.
And I don't have the power to do it, but somebody out there does.
I second you 100%, Larry.
That guy loved that field. He loved our community, and what a great way to remember it. Nash Field.
100%. I am on board with that 100%. Mm-hmm. We'll find the powers that be that can get that done, because I think you're absolutely right, because the legacy will live on forever.
I'm sorry, Jim.
No, final thoughts for me is just want to say thanks. It was a privilege. Him and I spent 5 years shoulder to shoulder in the sidelines, practices, games, off season, in season, to the cross, and I would never want to do it with anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of great people we met through the cross, even your family, and that over the years and stuff. But it's just a thank you from me and my family to the Nash family. Just not Mike, but just Tracy and Jordan and Gracie too. They were part of everything that Coach Nash did with lacrosse. And to have those years and everything, the memories will never be forgotten. And he is a true legacy.
True legacy. And Coach Nash's celebration of life will be held at Dunwoody Baptist Church on Sunday, October 12th. So this coming Sunday, 2 p.m. with the memorial service following at 3 p.m. So if you are in Dunwoody this weekend, I know it is fall break and all that goes into it, but if you are in Dunwoody, please come to Dunwoody Baptist and celebrate Mike's life with everyone that loved him. All right, guys, I really do appreciate it. We're gonna bring the coaches on. Yeah, awesome.
Thank you for having us
so much.
This was great.
Yeah. You can set that down right there. Yeah, we'll keep this going. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Yep. Doug, thank you so much.
Real studio,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And tell the coaches to come on over too. As they're coming in, they're probably going to be talking. I do want to read a poem that Sasha Evans wrote. So Sasha is the grandmother to Connor and Luke Haynes, who've been a part of the program for a long time. The poem's memories, and there's a kind of hush all over the world tonight, but none stronger than at DHS. Your voice still resonates these words, from "Don't get hurt" to "A little chew" to "Grill master extraordinaire." Once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat. Your coaching skills lie in the hearts of every Wildcat player and fan. Goodbye, Coach Nash. Thank you for 10 years of memories. So thank you, Sasha Evans. Hey, Coach.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Good to see you. Got the other guys coming in just 1 second. So, yeah, it was really touching, to hear the background stories of Coach Nash and kind of how things got started. And one of the things you had told me a while back, and hopefully I didn't destroy your confidence, is you said you couldn't have done what Nash did, of taking 16 players and starting a program.
Couldn't have done it. No, couldn't have done it. It was not my skill set to do that.
Yeah, it's one thing to start, get the ball that's rolling down the hill, but it's a hard thing to get it started, right? And that's what Coach Nash did. So, so the guys are going to come on. Maybe we'll take this opportunity right now just to kind of talk about, because I wasn't going to touch on it a huge amount, but a big win over Arabia Mountain. Team seemed to respond, played great. Had a new quarterback that came in. Liam came in and really had a great game. And he threw the ball well, and we just responded.
Right. He did exactly what we needed him to do. And we have confidence in Liam. Like you said, it was a great game. I mean, I was proud of our coaches, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Our first 2 drives, they did some things that, we weren't prepared for. I mean, we're an inside zone team. Everyone knows that.
Right.
And they did some things that kind of take it away, which was a really good adjustment by them. And it took us about a series, and Coach Smith and Coach Seth, made the adjustments and came to me as the play caller in between series, and then we were kind of off and running. So I was really proud of the coaches with that.
Yeah, the first half was sort of tight, and I think they actually got the first touchdown, kind of got a lead on us, and but we responded and came back in and played well. Right. Running game came around. I was saying, come on in, guys. You guys, come on in. Yeah, just. I would just. How are you? Nafis, come on, just grab a seat. Yeah, just throw the headset on.
That was a good way.
Pretty informal. Well, yes, I actually see Josh Neal standing over there. How about that? Just go bring him on in a second. Guys, we'll talk about Coach Nash in just 1 second. Coach and I were just talking a little bit about the Arabia Mountain game and how well the team played, and your receivers, man, you got to be happy about what they're doing.
Yeah, they're finally making plays. That's what Coach coaches them up. We try to coach them up to, it's not getting thrown as much as it was in the past.
Yeah.
So when your number's called, you got to kind of step up and make the plays, and they've been doing it. The games that they do it, we do well. And that's a big thing.
New quarterback. By the way, I didn't introduce you guys, so my apologies. This is Nafis Karim. You are wide receivers coach.
Yes, sir.
You've been at Dunwoody for how many years?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years. Long. I got there with Nash.
You came with Nash.
I did.
Were you with Nash prior to coming?
I was at Shiloh High School with Coach Nash for a couple years.
You were at Shiloh too.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
Yes,
How long? So how long have you been? Were you with Nash? Total.
I guess that's probably 13 years. We did 3 at Shiloh and 10 here, so 13 years. Long time.
Holy cow! Holy cow! And
I've known him for a while.
Yeah, you probably have some few stories.
I got great stories.
Well, I can't tell them on the air,
No,
but
no.
but we can talk about them maybe off the air.
Yes, sir.
And Mark Paul, defensive line coach. Again, we gave you the short seat just to make you feel inferior. This is a power move on my part. I try to give the tall guys
I
stuff.
respect it.
Yeah,
I respect
it's the way it goes. So, again, how long were you with Coach Nash?
So I coached with him for 7 seasons in football, 3 seasons in lacrosse, and of course I've known Nash ever since he came because he coached my son for 2 seasons as well. So I guess as long as
Coach Paul was our pastor before he was a coach.
That's right.
He would come in early, and the coaches would meet downstairs in the coach, and he'd go through his little story. It was great. That's where he got the nickname Pastor Paul.
Pastor Paul, yeah, that's So awesome history, and obviously, Coach, you came over. Have you been at Dunwoody how many years now?
This is my 4th year.
4th year.
Yep.
Man, time flies. I was about to say 2 years, but
my
4th year. And we talked a little bit to Doug about that transition and the support Coach Nash gave you in that transition, and how he really pegged you as kind of being the next guy at Dunwoody and the support he brought. What does that mean to you?
I mean, I don't know. It means a ton. You know, all things considered, I say this all the time, and I don't know if people believe it or not, but if like Chattahoochee County was closer to where my kids live with my ex-wife, then I probably would have went to Chattahoochee County. I mean, I just loved working for the man. I mean, I just loved it. And, in the coaching profession, if you get a spot where you're happy where your feet are, you're at a good spot. You know what I mean? Because a lot of coaches always look to move, and that's what I did when I was younger. I was always looking for the next job. But then once he, kind of really, I don't want to say he talked me into it, but he just kept on bringing it up and kept on bringing it up. And, it was pretty special getting his support, and then also these men's support and the assistants, and I don't know. Now we're here.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Well, I mean, he did. He really politicked for you to be the next guy, and he saw in you what you see in yourself, and that's when we talk about leadership of a guy, that's one of the things that he really brought to it, and he has. We were talking a minute ago. It's just his legacy and the things that he brought. There's so many things that you guys do as coaches that aren't necessarily seen by people. See the on-field results, and it's not wins are great, but it's not wins and losses. It's developing young men, and that's what you guys do on a day-to-day basis that people don't see. And Coach Nash did that. Coach Nash, he absolutely loved the kids and was so bought in on all that stuff. Talk about how important that was, the family piece. That was always the mantra: family, family, family. What you guys? Any of you guys can? What do you guys think?
I think it was just about being comfortable around the people you're with, and he would bring his family to make it seem family. So, with Tracy down there making Gatorade and working the Cal at practice and being a manager, he just wanted to create that sense of family. He has this thing online, Bill Curry, The Huddle. And The Huddle talks about how people come from all walks of life, but when you come together for one thing, that's what makes it great. And I think that's where the family kind of started for him, was that Huddle video. And not Huddle, the .com, but Huddle. It's called The Huddle. But he just wanted everybody to be together. And if you're bought into your family, you're going to play harder and want to be there and want to support. And so that was just his big thing. Ever from day one, family was all about family.
And you guys hung out with him for a long time, right?
Yeah. Before he was the head coach, he used to hang out a lot more. Yeah. Over at Shiloh, he was just the offensive coordinator, so he'd be the one out getting in trouble, ripping and running, with the rest of us. When he became a head coach, he kind of subdues that a little bit. But, Nash definitely knows how to have fun.
Coach Paul, what about you? What does the family piece mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, what we saw first was what it was doing for our son. He played basketball, and no disrespect to any of the basketball coaches that have been at Dunwoody High School. It just wasn't a great experience for our son. And then he joined the football program, and I just saw how happy he was being a part of that program. They weren't winning a lot, so it wasn't like they were having a lot of success on the field. But what we knew he was loved. We knew the coaches had his best interests, and they made it a great experience for him. Like, he looked forward to going to practice.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't the case in some of the other situations that he was in. And so, as a parent, like, the people who are good to your kids are your favorite people. And so Mike just quickly became one of my favorite people because I knew he was creating an experience for my kid, and that it was all based on love. Mike talked about love all the time. For a country redneck guy who loved to drink beer, and I mean he was just he said I love you, and he wasn't shy about leading with that and closing with that. I don't think I ever talked to him on the phone where he didn't say it, and he told the boys he loved them, and that foundation to me is like when you want to teach a kid, when you want to coach a kid, and anybody really, if you get that piece right first, if a kid understands that you love him, if one of your coaches knows that you love him, and you can teach them anything, you can tell them anything, you can correct them, you can bring them along, you can discipline them and all that kind of stuff. But he understood that, man, it all starts with love.
Yeah,
and he really lived that.
How I was telling the guys earlier, like if you ever went to his house on a random weekend, not a football weekend, but he had the boxes of shirts and player packs and everything else in the front room, and there'd always be a couple players there kind of hanging out, grilling out, or
right.
doing it. Was just like that. It was just, he was always open, and whatever you needed, he was there to do it. And I was telling the story, and I want to repeat it, but just how he committed himself to helping in all the different sports. We talked about lacrosse, but also baseball. Everything, he was just Dunwoody to its core, and whatever he could do, he was going to help. And if there was somebody that needed help, he was always there for them. So what about like the relationships that he built? I mean, even outside of football, he was always out there trying to drive, money to raise for the program, and all that stuff goes unseen. You don't know how hard that is to go out and ask all the time. What do you guys think about some of the community involvement that he got? I mean, he was the grand marshal of the parade, right? So right. I mean, he's clearly made an impact on people.
Yeah, part of the magic of who Mike was is that there was no pretense, right? And I just think that kind of like raw realness and authenticity really, it just breaks down barriers. And I don't think there's anybody he couldn't talk to. It doesn't matter how like fancy you were or what title you had or what position you had in the community. He didn't care. Yep. He was just Mike, and he was going to advocate for what he believed in, and he was going to fight for the kids and fight for the program. And man, just like all the things that have taken place in the last 10 years. And I mean, he's really pretty savvy politician as well as a really damn good football coach. You know what I mean? I mean, he had like this multiple skill set, but I think it came back to the fact that he was just Mike. He was real, and he wasn't intimidated by anybody. He was just gonna, he was gonna say what he thought was real and right and true, and just let the chips, guns, right? Let the chips fall where they may.
He was one of those guys you wanted him on your side, but you didn't want to have to go against him, because if he was on your side, he was going to go truth or dare, and if you were against him, it was going to be the same thing. But he's very much a loyal person is what I got from him, and being authentic and being loyal, that's something that draws people to that.
Yeah, but he didn't sugarcoat things. Like there's so many things several stories, just personal stories I won't share now, but that. If my kids did something, he was going to tell you, hey, listen, this isn't good. You can't do this, and this impacts us as a football team because people see what you do, and the first thing someone would say is, well, he's on the Dunwoody football team, and you just have to do the right thing. And I used to love the parent meetings. He'd go in and just say, hey, listen, Jimmy may not play. All right, that's just the way it's going to be. I'm not here to politic with you. And he just was very real about it, and that's hard to find sometimes. You get a lot of people that will say what you think they think you want to say, and or they want to hear, and he just wasn't that kind of guy. So any lasting memory? Nafis, I was going to tell you one of my favorite memories is after we beat Chamblee. I think it was like 3 years ago, and we were at the tavern after and we had the Golden Spike trophy, which we had won back. I think they had won it for a couple times, and this is how humble he was. I had to force him really to get outside to take a picture. Right. because he didn't want to do that, and I said, man, we haven't had this trophy in like a couple of years. We gotta celebrate that. But he's just so humble about it,
Well, I think he's a true competitor, and he was just never done stopping working. There was always ways to improve Dunwoody, improve the football team. If it was lights, if it was the speaker, if it was the storage shed, if it was beating Chamblee, there's always the next game and then being ready, or if it was doing the junior Wildcats. So being a true competitor, you're never really satisfied. And so, gloating about winning it one year and you've lost it the previous 3 years, that's not really his thing.
Yeah.
But we did get him to take that picture.
We did, yeah.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah. And then him, I think I was with him one time at the field. You may have been actually playing the speaker. Yeah, I think it was on your cell phone. It was, the music was playing after they had just installed the big speaker.
Right.
And neighbors are calling to complain.
Yeah, that happened at that first Powder Puff game. Yeah. They let me MC, and I didn't know that there was a noise. There was a noise rule, so we kind of went too hard. But he was able to politic that. He dealt with her and dealt with the county and dealt with the noise ordinance. He was very much a people person.
Yeah.
He's a hustler.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I remember, because I think he gave me the aux one time to plug my iPad. He was like, "Don't turn it up past 3, please." He goes, "I can't deal with getting the call about that being too
loud." She wound up getting him on her side and like, "You got to turn that down. Don't turn it up too loud."
Yeah,
he was good.
But all the improvements around Dunwoody, the lights, the turf field, the stands, even stuff that's on the baseball side. We're talking about the impact that has on all the other programs that you don't think about, whether it's lacrosse or soccer. Everything that plays out there is just a benefit to all the work that he's put in, and stuff that we can count. Yeah, and really, the new stadium that will be coming next year. I mean, that was the foundation of getting all of that done and hosting, home games at Dunwoody. That just, it's almost like a pipe dream. If you had said that a couple of years ago, you said, "There's no way that's going to happen."
Right.
But
when he called me after that was announced. And that was like the one thing he was like, man, you know what I mean? Like, really? Like the Mercedes-Benz, he loved. He was so happy for us. And I'm not saying he's not happy for us about the stadium, but that was the one thing that he was like, man, because that was his dream. You know what I mean? Like you said, it was a pipe dream, and all of a sudden now, it's happening, So his effect is going to happen in the future, too, because that stadium wouldn't happen if it wasn't for Mike. It wouldn't even be close to happen.
Wouldn't be close to happen.
Right.
And you brought up a good point, and I just now thought about it. The Corky Kell thing, he worked to be even invited to play in the Corky Kell. It's a big deal.
Oh, that was all Mike. Like, if behind the scenes, he organized it with St. Pius because he knew that would be a good draw. He found St. Pius found Blessed Trinity a game to replace the one they were losing in Pius. He did it all behind the scenes, and it was, like I said, he's a hustler. He hustled us into the bins,
Which was a great experience.
Yeah,
it was good that he was able to come and be on the sidelines for that game.
So great that he was there and got to experience that with the team. And I know my son was like so happy to see him there and to experience that. And that's the thing, the kids, they'll never forget. To be able play in that environment and everything else. And again, it's a piece that people don't see of what Nash brought to the program. So, again, a big loss. So, any closing thoughts on Nash before we talk a little bit about the upcoming game?
I don't know if there's closing thoughts, but, something I remember, and it kind of builds off what Mark said about being good to your kids, and it just hit home. He was, my son's a freshman now at Dunwoody. And when he found he was already at Chattahoochee County, once his mom and I made a decision that he was going to come here. But once he found out that Will was coming to Dunwoody this summer, it was like just as he's an emotional guy and I'm an emotional guy, and it was just tears of happiness, and he didn't want to talk about anything else. And just thinking, as Mark said, the thing about his son. Now that was kind of he didn't get to coach my son, but he was so happy to know that I was going to get that opportunity, and it was just, just selfless like he always has been.
100%. He called me when the season started and was just after we played in the bins, and he watched Bradley play, and he just called me and said, just your son just played unbelievable, and just the personal connection. He didn't have to do that, but it just meant so much to me and to my family and even my older kids that played. He doesn't forget. You would think coaching that many kids, you just sort of forget some. You wouldn't have that, but he just had that way to sort of connect with all of them and the families.
Yeah, just being a good friend. Just, you know what I mean? If you needed anything, he was always there for you. He accepted you as you are. I'm you know what I mean? I'm a wild man. I do my own thing sometimes, and he never used that against me. He always just accepted what I brought and accepted me for who I was, let me be kooky, let me crack jokes. And I just think, everybody in Dunwoody kind of lost a friend, someone that had your back. Even that you didn't know him, he still would have had your back, given any circumstance. And so just keeping his name, keeping his name alive, I think this is a great situation.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely it felt the need. He'll obviously be honored a couple different ways, over the next week or so, and some other stuff. And we were, Pankey, Larry was talking about how do we rename that field at Dunwoody to Coach Nash Field. I think that's got to be
a special thing.
That's got to be the special thing to do.
Because his footprints are all over that situation there.
Yep.
There were kids out there. Peyton Scott was running down on practice against Air, twisted his knee, out for his senior year. Claire Porcher, a soccer player, running down the field on Air, twisted her knee, out for the year. So he's made it safer. He's made it, better looking.
Yeah.
And now with this new addition, it's just it's kind of his dream coming to fruition. So
it's a huge resource that's almost I don't think I ever go out to that field that it's not being used by, whether it's, kids out there just playing on their own or kicking field goals or, families out there just running around. It's always being used just outside of, Dunwoody athletics. But so if you're ever at Dunwoody, you can thank Coach Nash for all that. So turning our attention maybe a little bit to the upcoming game, man, it doesn't get easy this week with Woodward coming in. They're sort of the bell cow of the region and have been for a while. So what are we going to expect this week with Woodward?
I mean, they're a good football team, but, like I've told our boys, so are we, and, I think we're prepared. I think we got good game plans on both sides of the ball, but, we've talked about playing complementary football all year, and I think that's what we really got back to against Arabia, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a good, just full football team, time of possession, field position, special teams, all the stuff that kind of gets lost in, a normal fan way of watching the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All that stuff's going to be, like I said, time of possession and field position is going to be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of you see the big inflated scores, a lot of them happen like that. I mean, it'll be close and all of a sudden it'll be like a pick six and a fumble kick and boom, boom, boom. And it's always the other team making those mistakes. It's never Woodward making those mistakes. So that's what we got to stay away from.
Yeah, 100%. Injury situation, are we looking better on injuries this week?
At certain spots,
yeah.
At certain spots we are, and at certain spots we're not. I mean, just the toll, and I think the type of offense we're playing now is taking a toll on some of the guys up front and our running back. It's a little bit different than what we've been doing. But it's week 8. Everyone's a little banged up, so
yeah.
I think we'll be all right.
My son's limping around half
Correct.
the time too,
Yep.
So but I think he's faking half the time, but that's all right. He just wants some sympathy. What kind of offense are we going to see from Woodward? Are they spread?
They're close to us,
Okay.
I mean, they're close to us. They get in a lot of formations, a lot of motions. They make you on your toes. They kind of try to get numbers, but I mean, they're what a lot of teams are running right now. Kind of the same run plays we're running, a little bit different formations, and so yeah, nothing that we haven't seen. I mean, their defense is similar to what we run as well. So
Yeah.
It's been a good week of practice. We kind of get what they're doing, to us, and so like I said, it's just going to come down to making plays.
Coach Ball, how do you prepare for it on the defensive line for a team like Woodward?
It's just like we can overcomplicate things, and yet what's going to win Friday night is doing the basic things really well. Like particularly at our defensive end spot, we've really worked with them on not flying upfield, right? Staying in their gap, getting their hands on the right guy, inside, outside zone. Job one, get your hands on the right guy and sit, get in your gap, low pad level, buzz your feet. And so it's just really working on those things, like showing them the different kinds of blocking schemes they're going to get and repping it over and over and over again. One of the things I love that we've done this week is that we haven't just like run a play and then moved on. Like run it and then show them what they did wrong or show them what they missed and then run it again, right?
Yeah.
And then run it again. So we've been kind of redundancy in that way has really helped us kind of get good looks at what they're going to throw at us. But again, to Coach Schmidt's point, like football is football, right? It's like we know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Can we do our job? Can each person on the defense do our job, right? And do it at a high level for 48 minutes.
Yeah, you guys have added some additional packages, which are so fun. I can't tell you how many times I've screamed Jaden's name in the middle of
It's been one of my favorite parts of this season.
I mean, he always seems to be back there. He's a quick kid, so he's getting through and just disrupting the play. Not necessarily that he gets the tackle, the quarterback, or the sack or anything, but he just disrupts stuff.
Right.
It's what you want. Nafis, what about wide receivers? We're going to see.
I think they kind of try to out-athlete you. They're going to line up, and what they're lining up in, they're going to do what they do and kind of think that they're going to out-athlete you in what they're doing. But the way our offense is set up, you can't really line up like that and hold up. You got to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Coach's got a bunch of smoke and mirrors going on, and if you get caught looking or something, I believe it's going to come down to the wide receivers. As being a wide receivers coach, I always do. But it's going to come down to them making plays. They've got some athletes out there, but I believe we've got some athletes too. Being able to run the ball has been awesome for us this season.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they're going to be able to totally stop that, but eventually they're going to make an adjustment, and then we're going to have to make the play out wide.
Yeah, well, I mean, our receivers have done a fantastic job of high pointing the ball at times and coming down with some, Farabee, Gabriel, Coy. I mean, they've just played so well at times. I had the chance to talk to Coy. All those guys are humble too, man. They're just just one.
Coy kind of got his out the mud last year. He was on the outside looking in, and he just worked so hard. And it seems like today at practice he was fantastic, catching posts and making big catches. And it feels like he's kind of getting back to that level, at the perfect time. And everybody wants to, dream of playing in college. And now you're playing against a tough competition. This is where, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the next 3 games, so we've got Woodward this weekend. They're undefeated in the region, sit at 5-2. They lost really a couple tough games. I think one of their losses maybe was to Marist.
And Carrollton.
So, you look at that and you're like, okay. But after that, we've got Chamblee, and then we've got Shiloh, right? So, I mean,
3 big ones.
These 3 games are really going to determine whether we make the playoffs or where our seeding will be in the playoffs. The Arabia Mountain win was obviously very huge, and so you got a lot of teams that are sort of vying right there for second place behind Woodward. But it all solved itself if we beat Woodward, I guess, right?
Ultimately. That's why they play the game.
That's why they play the game.
Right.
So, just shifting back over to Nash for a second. Again, I talked about it. The memorial service is on Sunday, October 12th at Dunwoody Baptist Church, 2 p.m. That's the celebration of life, and then followed with the memorial service at 3. So hopefully we'll see a lot of Dunwoody folks at Dunwoody Baptist on Sunday. And I did have sort of closing thoughts, I guess, about Coach Nash, and it's really, when Coach Nash came to Dunwoody, the football program was hanging by a thread, and Larry touched on a lot of this, but barely enough players to make a field a team and not much else, and he changed all of that, and over the course of a decade really built something that we have today, and that's very, very difficult to do. And the lights, the field, everything that he gave us, that he just sacrificed personally to get some of those things done. His biggest impact wasn't necessarily in wins and losses. It's hard to win games when you have 16 players, and we always seem to get put in some pretty challenging regions for whatever reason. So it wasn't always about wins and losses, but he really lived the family. That forget about me, I love you. That was his mantra, and he really lived it. Whether it's football or lacrosse, he just had that community, and he touched everything. Pankey said something in his Facebook post, which I'm going to steal from him. A lot of things that you see at Dunwoody today, you can look at and say, Coach Nash did that. So it carries on, and we'll miss him. So I appreciate it, guys, and we'll be seeing you guys on Friday night.
All right.
All right.
Thanks
Thanks,
very much.
Scott.
Thanks for having me.